Live.
Okay, and we are live.
All right. Good morning, Anderson. Good morning, Georgette. Hello and namaste, everyone. I welcome all of you to another live session of the Empowered Wellness series. And if I'm not wrong, this is the ninth live session since we started back in August. Not bad, right? Yes. So I would like to take the opportunity to thank all of you from all of us for joining us, keeping us motivated and inspired, and to help us keep doing whatever we are doing twice a month since August, and we'll do more. Anyway, now, uh, our theme for December is family. For obvious reasons, December holiday season, festivities, celebrations. And when we talk about all this, family is something very core to it, maybe in a bittersweet way, but it is. But also in today's modern, fast paced life, digital era, the definition of family is ever evolving. It's ever changing. The dynamics are different. The network, traditional support systems have changed. It's ever changing, but it is core to our existence. Also, work is also core to our existence, but it is also changing. It is also transitioning constantly. And mostly, as we see since COVID, the lockdown era, with the remote hybrid system, the technology, the dominance of technology. So, our today's topic is around how to strike a balance or that integration between work and family life to create a harmonious life and living for our own selves. And hence, our lovely and esteemed panelist, my co host, will be sharing their thoughts, their views, different strategies, and tips to about how to create that balance or that integration. Now, before we get into the introduction and move forward, I would also like to mention here that another core member of our group, Sylvia Vitos, our lovely coach, has not been keeping well, so she could not join us today. But she'll be back soon. So let us all pray for her speedy recovery. Get well soon, Sylvia, but you will be missed today. Anyway, with any further ado, let's jump into introduction. And I'll start with Anderson. Anderson Dinga, the mic is all yours.
Rupsha, thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing introduction into this topic. I am totally fired up to jump into this topic of work-life balance, integration, whatever you want to call it. Hey, everybody who's in the audience. My name is Anderson Dinga. I am the founder of Live Unity. Live Unity is a health and wellness coaching company, and it really is the backbone, the technology that's powering the coaching. And on the Empowered Wellness series, I love coming in here and sharing my knowledge and also learning from the panelists all of the wealth of knowledge when you talk about coaching and the transformation that they've seen with their clients. So stick around with us. It's amazing to hear that we've been doing nine of these sessions, and it's exciting to hear what's coming in next year when you talk about the Empowered Wellness series. So stick around, and I hope that you learn a thing or two that helps you through the holidays. Thank you, Rupsha. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Anderson. That was amazing. And thanks to you for creating this platform and bringing all of us together. Let's move forward. Georgette, your turn. Mic is all yours.
Thanks, Rupsha. My name is Georgette, and I am a progress catalyst. And what that means is, under the banner of wellness, I get people who are ready to change their lives and step into the next level of who they need to be for the next phase of their life. I am an author, I'm a speaker, I am a nurse, and I am the creator and founder of Evolvefulness, which is a wellness company with all the things I just mentioned underneath it. So, with that being said, I'm happy to be here and get into the topic of family and work life balance. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Georgette. That was wonderful as always. And thank you for spreading your energy and your compassion and kindness. Thank you so much. Now, as for myself, I am Rupsha Bhattacharya, joining in from Kolkata, India. I've been a practicing yogini for 20 plus years now, and for the past 5, 6 years, I've been integrating yogic principles and techniques with counseling techniques, neuro linguistic program, different relaxation techniques, and helping people to deal with their stress and anxiety and all the other ailments or diseases or problems that arise due to stress and anxiety. So that's what I do. Thank you so much. Now, I cannot wait to get engaged into the discussion. So, as I said, as we all know, in today's world, it's a digital era. There's the work culture is different with all the remote hybrid work system, the gig economy, the hustle culture, flexible work hours. So the work culture has changed. Also, the family structure has changed. Now, my question is, and I start with Anderson. Anderson, my question is, how do you think, in what ways has this kind of shift has impacted the traditional work and family structure, and especially the boundaries between the two? Has it improved it, or has it been a hindrance? Please, your thought.
That's it's such an insightful question, Rupsha. Georgette and I were just having this conversation about how remote work existed before the pandemic. A lot of people think that it just happened with the pandemic, but there's a lot of people who were working remotely before the pandemic. And I'm pretty sure those people had amazing skills to balance their work and their life. Unfortunately, when the pandemic happened, we all had to scramble very quickly and bring work home with us and bring our kids into our meetings with us. And there was not a lot of time to really adjust to that. There's also not a lot of training to adjust to that. So, what a lot of people are struggling with right now when you talk about balance, yeah, we have our lives in different places. We have our work life, we have our family lives, we have our social lives where we connect with our friends. But in that one area, in that work life, how do we find balance there? That's my interpretation of what we talk about as work-life balance, because to me, work is not separate from life. They're all encompassing into your life. And if you look at when we talk about wellness, if you look at the 8 dimensions of wellness, your work is actually 1/8 of it. So it's amazing that we give so much time, we give so much energy into our work, expecting to find that balance someplace else other than work, when we should really take a look at that wheel first and say, okay, if work is an eighth of life, how do I show up and get a balanced workload, but also how do I disconnect and spend that quality time with our families? And in the beginning, Ruksha, you talked about the holidays. I can't think of a better time to spend with your family than around the holidays. However, I caution because I know there are some people who go to work because they want to get away from their families. So it's a really, really relevant conversation, especially now around the holidays, because around the holidays, there is a pull back to the family. There's a pull to go do some shopping, to listen to Christmas carols, or to do Hanukkah events together. So when you have to invest that time into your company, do you have that sense of agency to go back to work and say, I need to take time off to spend with my family? So I love this conversation. That's what I've got right now to contribute to it. I don't think that work is completely separate from life. I think that their work is integrated into life in one of the 8 dimensions of wellness. And I believe that as we strive towards finding balance in each one of those areas, work is one of those areas we can find balance in. So it's a matter of taking some time off, or it's a matter of balancing the workload around the holidays. I hope that helps, Rupsha. Send it back to you.
That was wonderful, Anderson. That was really wonderful. And few things came out. One, while I was also preparing for reading up for this or doing my own, going back and looking at my case studies, balance in today's, what you mentioned, integration, as work is a part, one dimension of our life, right? So it's about integration more than balance, because now in today's technology driven world, we have to think about how to integrate our family life, personal life, our personal well being, and work as well, because all these are important, and all of these make us who we are, right? That was wonderful coming from you. And of course, we'll get more into it now. Georgette, all yours.
Thank you, Rupsha. And ooh, integration, a nice word. And I don't, the word integration has been used in every other area except in work life balance. So we're coming out of our parents' era where work took up their whole day, and it was this very, very important thing that you had to show up for and give a lot of your energy to. And just looking at the different generations, our parents probably made sure we had to go to school so we can get a good job, so we can get a good life. And here we are, as millennials, breaking all kinds of rules. There's so many memes on the internet blaming millennials for for ruining industries. The way I see it is we are realigning those industries, and work-life balance is one of those things. Like Anderson said before, my previous job was already hybrid. We just didn't call it that way. And there was already a life balance, work life balance with that. But with the advent of and the continuation of people working from home, what has happened is people who never really had boundaries, talking millennials, were the most, we suffer it the most. We really never had boundaries with work. We wanted to be the best at work, the best at everything. High anxiety set of people. In general, it's just a generational trait. It's not for every single person. And so, guess what we did? We threw ourselves at work. We got stressed out about work. We wanted to show up to the best. In the process of that, we took it home, and we just keep modeling through. But with new onboarding processes that I've observed here recently, is that the trainers are definitely saying, make sure you get up, you get dressed, brush your teeth, do everything like you would if you were stepping out of the house. I've seen many people talk more about ergonomics and things like that. There's a very famous video that came out of 2020 with someone on national television in the United States having this very important interview, and his kid just kind of found his way to the screen, and then the baby in the walker and the mom came sliding in like a ninja and just like grabbed the kids away, right? That's where we're at, is that we're starting to create those boundaries where if I'm working at home, I need a quiet space, a separate space. And I think over time, a lot of employers have started to understand that integration. You cannot expect the dog not to show up when you are at work. You cannot expect the 2-year-old who has zero clue of what's happening around them to not barge in into your meeting. You know what I mean? And so I think employers have started to see that you have to integrate those things and have boundaries with those instead of just barring them, because then it becomes stressful. What about the people who still go out and they, come home from work? Now they're sitting, it's still this up in the air type of things. But I think what has happened with the integration of work from home is that people have started finding boundaries with work, and by so doing finding boundaries with family and everything. So getting to hear people talk and actually watch people do things, it's almost like, okay, here's where I am, this is what I can handle, this is what I cannot. Whereas when we all went into an office, we were just stuck with whoever. We did not feel like we could speak up. We could, so in a way it has actually opened people up mentally and emotionally to realize that they're human and not just a number, regardless of how big your company is. So that's where I stand with that. And the whole integration of kids and pets and things happening in the background when you're doing remote is actually hilarious to me. I think it humanizes us in a way that the world has not seen in a long time. Is that we're human. We also have these things going on at home, and you get to see people's spouses and kids and whoever comes in, and the decor changes in the back, and we change our backgrounds all the time for whatever reason. I think it just improves and opens that spectrum of humanity in today's day of work-life balance or integration. So that's what I have for you right now, Rupsha.
Thank you, Georgia. That was wonderful. Yes, there's so many things you mentioned. One, obviously, about the boundaries. Yes, as millennials, we did not have the concept, clear concept of boundaries, which is, and the discussion wasn't there, the awareness wasn't there. I'm so glad that discussion is happening. People are becoming more aware of boundaries in terms of both professional and personal and family life for your own self as well, creating boundaries for your own self and then for others and other spaces. That was wonderful. Yes, obviously, I think the flexible work hours, the remote hybrid system, it was there, but now more people are doing it. So yeah, we are seeing more people, and through trial and error we are learning about. The companies are also uh, implementing different techniques and concepts. They're also working towards it. And as you also mentioned, that we're just humans, there will be hilarious moments and faux pas, and that will keep us, give us that energy to move on. Anyway, that was wonderful. Thank you, Anderson and Georgia. That was wonderful. Anyway, now, the thing is, let's really get into the practical stuff. As we talk about it, there are a lot of theories and we can talk about it, but as if you don't get into the practical implementations of it, then I think as wellness coaches, it really doesn't support. I mean, that's the way how we support people. Now, Anderson, my next question would be like, according to you, what are the top stressors, top one or couple of stressors or disruptors, I would say, that uh, you know create an imbalance, or this makes that integration more difficult between the work and family life? What do you think are the top
Hmm.
in
That's a
context?
that's such a good question. If I was to think back to when I worked in the corporate space, this time of the year is the end of the year. A lot of salespeople are out there trying to close the books. They're trying to get their last minute deals in. So there's a bit of pressure to get the last minute deals to close out the books for the year, to hit their number for the year. It's almost like if you're a marathon runner, you're on the last mile of your race, and that's usually the most difficult mile because if you're doing a marathon, you've done 25 miles, you got a mile left to go. So that final stretch is always hard. That final stretch also happens when the holidays are going on and when there's enough things going on in people's lives, you know. So it's darker. It's at least here in the United States, it's darker. It's winter, so it's colder. It's not summer anymore. So there's a lot of distractions that are going on. There are a lot of things that are in the news that keep people away from the 100% focus at work. There's a lot of things that are happening in people's lives that keep people away from those things that they need to focus on. On the flip side, when you talk about being present at home, because we have to also be present at home for our families, um, the distractions that show up, I think a lot of it is really about the work. And since work has come home with us, I've seen a lot of people who are just completely glued on the technology constantly because they can't create those boundaries anymore. So the lack of boundaries has been a big issue. I've heard from numerous people, spouses who are like, "Hey, husband, hey, wife, when are you going to come to dinner?" And they're like, "What do you mean? I'm already home." And they're like, "Well, you're still on the computer." So a lot of people they don't have that sense of agency that they could disconnect from work and feel okay with it. So they're just working constantly. Another one that I would say, Ruksha, is just we have capacity. We as humans, like Shashed was saying, we have capacity. And so if we're not fully rested, if we're not fully well, we can't fully show up and do the thing that we're being asked to do. So one of the big distractions right now is the rest that we can get. And last month, I know we talked about sleep. Sleep is so important when our families are back home for the holidays and we're spending time till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, watching Netflix, watching Apple TV. Can't probably show up with all of our energy at work. So that could be a big deterrent when you talk about showing up to be fully engaged. And in those situations, it's okay to take a day off. You know, a lot of companies now, ever since the pandemic, they offer employees with unlimited vacation. Take time off for yourself. And if the rest of your team has already taken time off, take a day off. Or plan to take that time at the end of the holidays, maybe in January when everybody comes back. But do take time for yourself. It's really important. That's self care. So I really love this question, and I tie it back to what Georgette was saying. We are human beings, right? And we have capacity, and we have to look after ourselves so we can show up better for our families and for our coworkers. Thank you, Ruksha. Over to you.
That was amazing, but it's not done. One practical tip, something doable that you would suggest you have used, anything that you would share with our viewers
Oh, I
around you.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Say no. Say no. No is a perfect answer. It's a perfect response to something that you don't want to do. I had this podcast that I listened to from Jay Shetty, where he talked about how have you ever found yourself in the situation where you say yes to things and then you feel bad about them, where you should have said no and felt good about them? Like you should have said no to go to that party, but you say yes. Or you should have said no, I don't feel like working today, but you said yes. And then you felt bad because you really needed time for yourself, right? Say no. Go the other direction. Stop people pleasing. you know, sometimes it's okay to take that time back for yourself. Every time it's okay to take that time back for yourself. So that would be my number one tip. And I don't have anything else besides that. But if you want me to keep going, I could.
No, like it was wonderful, very insightful actually, about creating boundaries, about being able to say no and stop people pleasing. And it's also being compassionate about ourselves by doing all this and not guilt tripping, pushing ourselves into guilt tripping. You're learning to be compassionate to ourselves. It's all right. As you mentioned, sleep, rest. It's all right to take a day off. We are humans at the end of the day, right, Georgette? So there's so much we can do, our mind, our brain. So yeah, sleep it off, take a rest, take a day off is fine. And companies are also becoming a little more, I think, accepting and flexible regarding all this. Anyway, Georgette, back to you.
So I'm going to start first with, the disruptors. And oof, Anderson said it all. And I'm just going to piggyback on the rest part of things. And as much as we talk about sleep and taking a day off, through my coaching practice and just being out as a community nurse, humans don't know how to be still, and that requires practice. Rupsha, you're a yogini and you understand the power of breath and moving with your breath, right? The collective breath that we all have. But the regular human does not know how to just take that day off and rest without having to worry about what happens the next day at work, what happens when, I have to go back home after a vacation. We all start stressing about what needs to be done. And so the one tip that I'm going to throw out there is learn to be still, meaning just start with 1 minute and sit down, stand, lie down for a minute and just be there. And there'll be thoughts. That's part of meditation, right? That's just the first step. But just learning to be still and then improve that practice to where you can say, oh, I'm on vacation. And therefore, I'm going to be on vacation and socialize with my family, my friends, and whatever has to deal with work, when I get home, I can handle that. So, but a lot of times, what happens is that even though we create these physical boundaries, we have not learned internally how to regulate ourselves to where we're not still thinking about the best dinner we had in Cabo San Lucas, right? While you're at work and trying to focus, and everybody keeps asking you, how was your vacation? It's a great thing that people want to know, and it's okay to do that, but I've realized that if you're not careful, you get addicted to the vacation, you get addicted to the time off without any like pure intentions, except for I just need a good story to go back to work to. You know what I mean? It's so common, it's very prevalent, and many people don't even realize they fall into that. So learn to be able to internally disconnect from the parts of you that need to focus on work when you need to focus on work. The other disruptor that I see is apart, it's technology. Even if with kids, that is a huge, huge, huge disruptor. And as a parent myself, the trick is to be able to engage kids in particular while they're using their devices, is to give them technically some kind of homework so they get to look something up and tell you about it and have a discussion about it, so they don't feel like they have to physically let go of the device. And in the process, the more you practice doing that, the better they get at putting that device down. So that's another tip, especially with parents with young kids. Teenagers are even worse. You need way way more patience with teenagers, just because they have their own sense of self at this point. Their brains are just doing what they should be doing, is being rebellious and creating a sense of identity away from their family and all that good stuff. So once you keep that in mind, especially with teenagers, is to say, you know what, this is them trying to assert themselves. How do I introduce myself into their world so that I can bring them into the world of family, so that they can spend time with family and get to know who's who? Because that's another huge disruptor, is many families don't know who they're related to and have zero bonds with them. They might recognize them by face and by pictures and who lives where, but there is not an actual bond. And especially with teenagers, one way to bring them back into the family is to be able to, introduce them to other family members and get them to, they're still kids. So you still have to say, hey, you have to ask auntie this, uncle that, brother-in-law that, about these questions. Best way to do is introduce a whole bunch of small kids, if you have them, into that environment. People like small kids and pets. That's an upside. And whew, that's a lot of tips, but I'm going to give you one last one. One of the tips to create that integration and balance is, I've seen, because I know my family has a historian. And so, have a historian. Usually, it's the matriarch of the family or anyone who has that natural desire to seek out family members, to bond with them, to keep everybody updated. Make them the historian. And that way, around the times of year when you gather, especially around the Christmas time, but there are different holidays around the world and different times during the entire year where you can engage the historian about, wait, who is this person again? I don't remember their name, how we're related, what's going on with them, and encourage everyone to speak with each other. But until we get there, where there's a designated historian, and then there's a support, the historian is the person that will naturally want to talk to everybody. So use them and kind of pull people together and say, hey, listen, this is what's going on with cousin so and so. I think we should call and check on them and make sure that they know we're thinking about them, and be able to help whenever they need some help. So there are many tips and tricks, but the disruptor that I see the most is, technology. It's so insidious. It's mind blowing. And for the rest thing as well, that's a really, really good one, because we don't know how to rest. And what I described as pulling family together to just talk could be rest. It's called social rest. So that's one of the things. And I will end there for now, as much as that's because that's all I can think about for tips right now. Back to you, Rupsha.
Wow. Thank you so much, Georgia. That was very insightful and wonderful. So many things. Stillness, yes, we need to work on that stillness. Meditation, as a coach, yoga coach, I would like to say meditation is not about like emptying your mind. It's about filtering those anxious excess thoughts. Yes, stillness is very important. And what you said about the historian, I loved it, that concept. Yes, someone in the family always has that ability to be the storyteller, and then there they bring that personal touch, which creates that curiosity and helps in that integration. Lovely. Also, here I would like to put my thought in about the disruptor. What I was thinking about in my work culture in my country, what I've seen that people think work hours equals to productivity. That mindset has to change, because because I've seen a lot of I mean, you're not being productive if you're working being like working for 8 hours. You can be as productive in 4 hours. So I think that's a huge disruptor. It also goes, it's about changing your mindset and also the work culture and the company culture. So that's, I think, is obviously, and Anderson, as all you said, not being able to say no and no boundaries. And as a tool, I would like to mention one tool which has helped me is the to-do list, and also breaking your to-do list into the Eisenhower matrix of urgency and importance. And implementing both in your work and personal and your different spectrum of your life, it helps. The to-do list helps, and breaking the to-do list into urgency and importance also helps. Anyway, there now, I think we cannot not talk about technology. We're now talking about the changes and transition and technology being obviously disruptor, but I think how we use technology is uh, is whether it's is being is beneficial to us or being a hindrance, that is there. So my next question is, how can we cannot do without technology, so how can we leverage technology to make this integration more successful and more smooth? Anderson, Ringa, you the tech person, please.
It's funny how the question goes to the IT guy.
Oh,
Rupsha, I'm really enjoying this conversation and I'm really enjoying the insights. I echo what Georgette was saying about the historian. I actually never thought about the concept of a historian, somebody who can tell those stories. But I wonder whether there is a way to tell those stories and capture them using technology. And I wonder whether there's a way for people who are disconnected geographically to use technology actually in a responsible way to connect with each other, maybe do a Zoom meeting around Christmas or a Zoom around Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or something like that, and then record it for posterity so we can have a version of this that the kids can listen to or watch whenever. That could be a good use of technology. Another good way of using technology, and I know I stole this from, I actually am stealing this one from Georgette, is giving people that opportunity to take out your phones and take the picture of the dinner table, take the picture of each other, and now we're ready for dinner. Let's put those phones away. And giving people that space to use technology responsibly before an event like that and then put it away so they can be 100% focused, I think it's really, really smart. I think it's really important because otherwise then we just do the thing that we normally do, which is pull out the phone every bite and take a picture of it. I think there are ways by which we can use technology in a very responsible manner to breed connection and to create a sense of balance for ourselves and for our families. Around the holidays we talk about mindfulness and meditation. We can use technology around those things. Online yoga classes, apps on your phone where you could do breath work. Those things are all available. They're available throughout the year. Don't throw them out because it's the holidays and because now all of a sudden we are all jaded. Calm is available, Noom is available, Headspace, all of those are available to you. And heck, if you don't want to pay for the subscriptions, YouTube is free. And those are all technologies. You can put on a 1 hour YouTube mindful meditation, or you can put on a 5 minute YouTube mindful meditation. Either way, do something with technology that helps boost your mindfulness, help boost your physique, right? So those are some of the things that come to mind for me when you talk about responsible use of technology. I'm just coming back from Las Vegas last week where I was at the Amazon conference, Amazon AWS, where literally everybody is talking about generative AI. And so I start thinking about that, like when our families come back and when our kids come back home, what are the conversations that we're navigating with them around it, generative AI? Are we teaching them how to use this technology responsibly? Or are we just giving it to them so they can be glued on it, so they don't know ways to interact with a human being and look at them in the face and have a conversation with them? I think it's really important for us to have those conversations with our families, to have them with our kids, how we can responsibly use technology to connect, to find balance, not to disconnect and to find those imbalances in our lives. And going back to what Jojo was saying about designating a historian, I think we can also use technology to find out like who's the best person in our family to give that responsibility as a historian in a family. What are some of the traits that we should look for in that historian? Because storytelling is really powerful, and to put the responsibility on one person, that's a huge responsibility. So it's really, really important. And maybe we can all take turns and be a historian. I don't know. Maybe there's a way to do it in some families. That way it's not a huge burden. But those are some of the things that come to mind for me. Of course, here we are right now streaming this video on LinkedIn and on YouTube live. And I implore everybody to check the recording out, or to share the recording out to your friends and your family, because this is technology. The advice that we're giving, or the information that we're giving, is just being delivered over technology, but technology is the conduit for us to deliver this type of information, this type of messaging to the world. So leverage the technology. I think it's amazing that we have this tech, but we should also remember to use it responsibly. Thank you so much, Rupcha. Back to you.
Yeah, that was amazing, Anderson. And I feel that technology, the more we progress and go ahead, there will be more technology, there will be more changes, and more evolved technology, basically. So we also need to, I think, use technology and upskill ourselves about the modern technologies that being used. Only that ways, as you rightly mentioned, that are we till a point people were giving their children, the next generation, technology to, okay, like to pass their time, but now is the time to make them understand how to use it responsibly, and giving them information, basically open information, clear information. I think, yeah, that's what is required in today's world. Thank you so much once again, Georgette. The mic
Oh
is all yours.
yeah, technology is such a huge one because my brain, just because I'm a parent, my brain has gone there. And
Right.
having a Gen Alpha born after 2010, they had devices from a very young age, and they're able to manipulate those devices. I know at some point, my son was able to. I don't know how he figured it out because he was like 6, and he changed his bedtime on his tablet and a couple of things. And because I check it regularly, which is another thing about using technology responsibly, is when you're the parent, you're paying that bill, you purchase that device for them, check on the device. Because it's only natural that they'll be curious about how to manipulate it or what they're watching, all that kinds of information that they're consuming on it. Those are really good conversation starters, especially with the Gen Alpha, the Gen Zs. They're more creative on it than anybody with the technology. So, talking about leveraging technology, have a sibling meeting once a week. Pick a time where everybody's able to attend and just literally just catch up for as long as you want, for as little as you want. And the moment that that becomes a regular thing, you'll start getting to understand how everybody functions, their personalities, what is important to them. Because um, you, Anderson, and I, Rufsha, we're all from cultures where, and generations where our parents really just put us in this corner of your representation of me. This is what I expect of you. And you should come out however I see that is acceptable to me as a parent. Even though they loved us and cared for us the best way they knew how, the technology has really broken that apart to where I think our parents are suffering a little bit when it concerns connection and technology. Because of technology, we're learning things like boundaries. We're learning a lot about a lot of mental, psychological science, history that textbooks don't give us. So we have a lot more information, and we're able to process it differently than our parents did, which can kind of shift a whole bunch of relationships quite a bit. So, leveraging that to be able to say we have a weekly call with mom or whatever the situation may be, that's another good way to be able to leverage technology. And one more thing that we can do is games. I've seen my kids' friends sit in a circle and they're playing a game together. At first, I thought, oh my God, what? Talk to each other. But they do. I had to pay attention and they wake up, and I'm not talking only remotely. I'm talking of when they're sitting together and they talk to each other and they will put everything down and strategize. So as much as I used to really wonder, what on earth, you're sitting together, talk, play, they're actually playing. But when they put their phones down, they're talking about who should have done what and why. And it's amazing how their minds work. And I understand that it's different for me, but learning to understand that this is how they feel close is that they're able to do these things and still talk to each other about the game that they're playing. It might not be physical because we come from a generation where we played outside all the time, but because of a lot of technology, we're also aware of the fact that there are creeps out there. And it has just gotten worse, so we don't let our kids play outside without our supervision. That has changed a lot. So learning to accept the new way of play and encourage that verbal engagement is really, really very important. So with that, that's what I have for you.
Yes, thank you so much once again. And that was really insightful. And of course, technology, boons and banes, can't do without it. So obviously, we have to become more aware, and we need to have more information about it, its usages and what's going on. And also, yes, we are in a world of transition. Everywhere transition is happening in every aspect of our lives. Our next generation, they process things in a different way, as we process things in a different way than our parents, right? So we have to become, and we as a generation have seen a lot of transition, and it'll keep going on, and we have to keep learning. Trial and errors, the lessons is all a lesson. But yes, it was wonderful, and I got a lot of insight into how to how to try to integrate. I would not say, as Sylvia says, harmony. Yes, harmony, integration between our work and family life balance, and remembering that work is 1/8 part, right, Anderson, of the dimension, and there are other dimensions.
Yes.
Need to focus on those as well. Anyway, any takeaway as we come to the end of the session, Anderson? The mic is yours. Any closing comments?
Bruksha,
Share.
I'm really enjoying this conversation. And my one wish, I wish Sylvia was here. But that's okay. I know she's in the audience, listening in right now. So thank you very much for being an amazing host, for helping us navigate through this conversation on balancing work and family life. Some of the strategies that we've discussed right now are incredible, and I hope that it helps our users, our viewers, actually find that harmony that Sylvia talks about. Harmony is important. It reminds me of homeostasis if you're in the medical industry. It reminds me of finding balance. And whether you're finding balance or you're integrating work and life, find a sense of agency to take back that power and choose what is right for you, whether it's self care or it's disconnection or it's playing with your kids. Find that sense of agency to give that back to yourself. I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. The thoughts from you, Ruksha, the thoughts from you, Georgette. I've gotten out of this stuff at least one or two or three things which I'm going to go apply in my life these holidays. So thank you all very much for your time. Thank you for your energy. The insights are invaluable. So keep it up. Cheers.
Thank you. Yes, Georgette. Takeaways? Anything you want to share? Announce?
The the takeaway from this is family is what you make of it. It's who you invite into it. And as much as we like to keep our blood family kind of separate from uh, everybody else, the world is changing so fast. Family is literally what you create. That's it. Create a tribe. Create people. Nurture those relationships that are fulfilling to you, nourishing to you, and balancing to you. And then, just keep nurturing, going deeper and deeper, and then you have your own family, regardless of if they're blood related or not. So you have the power to create your own tribe. So if you need to do that, go do it. And thank you.
Wonderful. It has been a wonderful session as always. And yes, times are changing, things are changing, everything is transient. So please open your minds, open your hearts, open your thoughts, ideas, whatever you need to do. We need to break certain traditional concepts and, instill certain new concepts and ideas in ourselves to be able to have a harmonious living, as we said. Thanks to all of you, my wonderful coaches and my friends, co host Anderson and Georgette. It was a pleasure to host this, to be a part of this discussion. Sylvia was missed. Thanks to all our audience once again for joining us. And if you are finding it hard to create that balance, you're finding it difficult to find that harmony, just remember we are here, your empowered wellness series group, our members. We are there. We connect with us whenever you feel like. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you are. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thanks, yeah.